Welcome to A Women's Brew, where women talk about beer. This is part 2 of our Brussels breakdown, where we'll talk about Brussels beer and tourism outside of the Tour 24. I'm Tori, accompanied by my husband Rik.
Hello.
And this podcast is still two beer lovers on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us. So go back and listen to part 1 if you want to listen to all the tour talk. That was last week's episode. Obviously, high level is Jo couldn't join me in the end for the Tour de Guerres. She couldn't join me for the Brussels trip that we were really, really looking forward to. So my husband Rik stepped in and joined us. So this is the last episode last week, talked about all the Tour de Guerres tour talk. Yeah. So I like calling it Tour Talk.
Tour Talk.
It's fun. Tour Talk with Tori.
Oh.
That's a super fun name, isn't it?
That is.
That's a fun one.
Alliteration.
You know I love alliteration, and that is a good bit of alliteration. So go back and listen to that if you haven't already. Or if you really can give a shit about Tour Talk, then you just want to know about Brussels beer stuff in general, I guess this is the episode for you. Or maybe you just needed a fix because you haven't heard me and Jo for the last 3 weeks. So this is what you got. I mean, you're still not going to get me and Jo, but you can get me and Rik. So that's some people might think that's better. So most of you will probably, it will do. It will do. But yeah, we might make reference to some of the stuff like from the past episode. So you probably should go listen to that for that. But that was last week's episode, and this week we are pretty much just going to talk about the rest of our trip to Brussels. So yeah, we're not going to talk about what a Guerres is or style stuff or lambics or anything that's like beer style related. That will be a separate episode, as I mentioned on last week. That will be a separate episode with Jo. We'll bring Jo back in because I don't think either of us are.
I think Jo's slightly more qualified to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, as I mentioned last week, hopefully by this point Jo is more than back in fighting shape, and we are recording as we speak. As you're listening to this, hopefully Jo and I are recording somewhere, something. So yeah, hopefully she'll be back next week. So fingers crossed. This episode we are gonna drink. I thought I'd treat you because you've had so many lambics.
It was very lambic heavy.
You've had a lot of like lambics. You have a lot of like sours. We needed to get the Gaviscon and equally equivalent the last few weeks.
That's it. The acid reflux was strong. Yeah.
And I know that you love sours though.
I do love sours. This is true.
You do love a sour.
I do.
You do love a stout.
I do love a stout. Sours and stouts.
This is where you and Jo kind of like. It's a good replace. If I'm going to replace Jo with anyone, it will probably be you because she also loves a sour and she loves a stout. Kind. So that's fair. Whereas I could go like hoppy. I could go hoppy all day, and that's also fine.
I like the juicy boys as well.
And we do like juicy boys. Yeah, we do. To be fair, you are a good blend of me and Jo together. But I thought because you put up with a lot of like lambic choices that I would treat you. Cool. I treat you to Minerva, which was a bourbon barrel-aged coffee imperial stout.
Oof, that does sound good.
The Source. So one of the breweries we visited, one of the ones that I brought beers home from. So yeah, I thought
let's do it.
I thought you'd like it. So
yeah, let's do it.
Crack that open. Do you want to pour it? Do you want me to pour it?
I'll let you do it. You're the expert.
Yeah. So basically.
So I think we're going to talk about the other places we visited other than just Tour de Guerres.
We are, yes, we are indeed. So if you listened high level to last week's episode, if you listened to that, Jo was too ill to be able to come with, and therefore Rik filled in her position last moment and came round and came with me to Brussels. So the whole purpose of going, I do have my phone.
Oh, okay, I thought. I know you need to take a picture.
All right. I appreciate the fact that he's handed me his phone. If you're listening to this, he's handed me his phone discreetly because this is the normal point in time where we kind of go, before we start talking about anything else, let me take a photo really quick.
Yeah, before we do anything. I know, because you did the thing that you normally do where you literally place the can next to your drink ready for the picture. I can see it. I also feel like the setup.
You were looking at the glass and you could see that there was like a head on it and that the head was gone, and then you just like sort of like discreetly handed me the phone.
I can tell it was ready for the photo op.
Quite a short-lived head on it, so there wasn't really much there. All right, I'm going to take a photo. While I take the photo, do you want to talk us through tasting notes while I do a photo? Just talk us through what you're getting. That's fine.
What am I getting?
Just talk us through the tasting notes that you have. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. Okay, there's no wrong tasting notes.
So I'm not tasted it yet. I'm just smelling at the moment.
Okay, give us your aromas. Talk to us about the aromas.
It does smell barrel aged. Definitely.
That artwork, I love that.
The artwork is pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
It's an owl. It looks like an owl, and I'm usually scared of owls. But if you're looking at the video, you can see the image there. It's like an owl with one big old honking eye.
Yeah, a bit weird. It definitely smells like bourbon.
Oh shit, it does.
It really does. Like, it smells like bourbon more than anything else.
Yeah, it does
more
smell.
Than what it's meant to be coffee.
I reckon it smells like bourbon and chocolate. I get chocolate in there as well.
Yeah, I do get chocolate as well, like dark chocolate.
Yeah, dark chocolate. I would say
not
cacao.
Coffee.
So what I would say is I would get cacao.
Cacao rather
which is
than chocolate.
Probably what I would hazard a guess that they've added cacao if I had to. If I had to bet my life on it,
tastes like cacao.
Probably put cacao in it. And I'm glad that I bet my life that they put cacao in it because they did put that in. Oh, maybe they didn't.
Oh,
hang on. I might have misread. So this one's pretty good because it actually tells you that there's coffee in it, but they also put in like all the bits. They've got like the malts in it, which is like Vienna, Munich, oats, Cara, Choco, Carafa 2, brown, roasted barley. I'm just looking because like I will be shocked if there's no cacao in here based on the smell. I don't think there is. I was just kidding. I didn't bet my life on it. You definitely didn't know. No, what I said is I would bet my life on the fact that it smells like cacao because it does.
It does. It does smell like it. It tastes like it. But yeah, no, it's very nice.
So it does smell bourbony though, doesn't it?
Luckily, it smells more bourbony than it tastes because otherwise it'd be quite overpowering.
I don't get the coffee as much. Like even though they've added coffee to it, and it obviously mentions coffee quite a bit. Like it is more chocolate and bourbon. Smells quite boozy. What's the ABV on that?
10.5.
Oh, F my life.
It doesn't taste 10.5. Cheers. But yeah, it's nice. So this is from this is from the source. But
let's go in order.
I was about to say let's go in order because we did Cantillon first.
We did, yeah.
So do we want to talk about Cantillon first?
Thank you for keeping me on track. Yes, we'll talk about Cantillon first. So basically, just like I said, to recap, Joe couldn't make it. We went, and the timescales were so we took the Eurostar to Brussels. We decided to go anyways. Ooh, taste-wise, sorry, timeout. Taste-wise, I do actually get the roastiness. It does taste like dark chocolate, and that's where the cacao comes into play because it has that bitterness of cacao, but very dark chocolate, like baking chocolate, which is usually dark chocolate, cacao type chocolate. Cocoa, very rich, very cocoa-y, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I'm going to guess is like cocoa malt, choco malt.
Choco. Yeah, so we went to Brussels.
That's bold, yeah. So we went to Brussels on the Eurostar. I think we talked about it a bit last time. I quite liked going to Brussels on the Eurostar because I am not a flyer. Anyone that knows me knows I am not a flyer. I remember the time that we flew someplace, and I mean, there's numerous times I can have really shitty stories about me flying. One of the times being, I think somebody thought we got into like an argument or something because I was basically like, more wine, please. And then I was there just like sort of like emotional, and they came over to check in to be like, is everything okay?
I think there was a time, I'm pretty sure it was a BA flight where they could tell you were visibly
shaken.
Yeah, you were visibly not comfortable. It was obviously written on your face that you were a bit nervous. So I think they asked, do we want any more drinks? And you were like, yeah, I'll have a couple of beers or
But there was another time that I think they thought we got
bringing them over.
Yeah. But then I think there was another time we were on a flight and somebody thought something had happened with us, and they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I've got anxiety." And they were like, "That's cool." It's just and then there was the time that I gave myself a panic attack, and I was like, "The plane's depressurized."
Yes, yeah. You're on the plane and. Did you feel a bit lightheaded? I
felt very lightheaded, and then in my brain, in my warped sense of being, I was like, "That's it. That nobody else on this plane but me, the expert, expert about planes that hates flying,
knows that
nobody else realizes that the plane has depressurized." And you were like, "We've not even left.
We're still on the tarmac." So the plane hasn't even been pressurized yet to be depressurized. Like the door is still open. Like, no, sweetie.
I was like, "That's it. We're going down."
No.
And you were like, "It's fine. Nothing's happened." And I was like, "They just don't know yet that the
nobody
plane
knows.
It's just me.
You.
I'm the only one that realised.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
Depressurized.
No, it didn't depressurize. But anyway. So we
I don't like to fly at the best of times.
Yes,
so we took the Eurostar. Joe and I
Brussels.
purposely took the Eurostar because it was the easiest to get to. And I would say highly rate the Eurostar. In my opinion, as a person that doesn't like to fly, it was like all the best bit where like I had to worry about going like 23 kilometers or whatever it was underwater, underground, and that's fine. Okay, maybe there was a leak, I don't know, but I feel like they would know about that way easier than a plane would know.
You talk about as if you've never been on the Eurostar before. This is your third time.
Is it?
Yeah,
this is my third time.
This is your third time on the Eurostar.
Yeah, okay, it is my third time, but I love it. I think it's great because it's all the best parts of the stuff that I hate about flying. It's like you can't take your own booze. It's being in the air. You can't take your own booze. You can't take there's so much stuff you can't take.
It's a bit more chilled,
and it's just more of a faff. And I feel like the Eurostar is definitely more chilled.
It's more chilled
and
out.
The passports they're nicer.
Yeah,
it's like they're not they know they're like you're having a day.
Yeah,
just give me your passport, please.
Yeah, so we took the
Eurostar, and to illustrate how easy that was, basically we left ours at about 3:50, 3:15. We got into London within an hour, and we were in Brussels by 10:40 in the evening, 10:40 p.m.
Yeah.
So I think our
2-hour train.
It was a 6:59 or something.
No, 7:30 something. I think
it was a 7:30 train out, and then you go ahead an hour.
Yeah. So it was about 10:30 when we landed. I think
got in at 10:40, and we got to our hotel. I've got photos in our lift at 11:30.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
All in all, and it was really easy. So where you come into is you come in on the Eurostar to Midi station,
Brussels Midi.
And we stayed quite central. If you listen to last episode, we stayed quite central. It was we stayed maybe 5-10 minute walk probably 5 minutes walk from Gare Centrale. And that was literally a 5 minute max direct train line from Midi.
Yeah, from Midi, it's pretty easy.
So we did pretty good there. And if you listen to the first episode, you'll know we changed hotels from where I was originally booked in with Joe, which was actually sort of a blessing in disguise. So the negatives being, I think we were probably closer to tourism, and like I say as a negative in the sense of, if that's what you want, you're wanting to go to those spots, that's great. For me, we've done Brussels before. We've done all those the tourist stuff.
Yeah, so it was just going to be drinking and eating, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think some people might want to avoid it just because it's busy, it's loud. If you don't like hotel rooms, not the right area. If you don't like loud hotel rooms, not the right area for you. If you need absolute quiet and you want to be living like you're living there and not in a tourist area, probably not the right area for you. But in my opinion, right area for us.
Yeah, we liked it. Yeah,
quite liked it. If I had kept the hotel that Joe and I booked, I probably still would have been happy. It just would have been slightly more difficult with full bags because it was uphill with cobblestone. But overall, I think it was pretty good area in general. Anyways, but the fact that we got there so quickly, 5 minute train, and it was so easy to find, 5 minute walk. was pretty great.
So, do you want to talk about the beer places then?
Yes,
so obviously, so Cantillon was a place you wanted to go to really badly, didn't you? But the tour, you kind of you hadn't committed to a time slot for the tour, and when we checked on Thursday,
basically what had happened was, what I didn't realise was you had to book tickets to the Saturday tour. I kind of didn't really think about it because obviously, as we mentioned in the first episode, because of how the turn of events went, we kind of kicked the can down the road.
Kicked that can down the road, and
and I knew that I could get into Cantillon. I knew that I could do the self-guided tour, but I didn't really look at the proper tours. And it wasn't until it got close to the time that it was like, oh, you actually have to book for the Saturday tour.
That's it. And when we checked on the Thursday, when we were trying to do last minute rushing around, there was only 2 English speaking tours, and both were fully booked.
They were sold out, and all you could book for in advance was the Dutch tour.
Which...
I think there's a Dutch tour and a French tour, and I failed French, and my Dutch
is non-existent.
It's not non-existent.
Yes, it is.
So I love my Dutch colleagues at work, but they speak so good English
that you don't.
I need to start being like, Marcel, please teach me Dutch, because I never have to use it, and my Dutch is
so basically so the tour was sold out, but you did a very smart thing. You contacted them, you messaged the place and said, look, I know it's sold out, but is there any chance that you might have space for 2 people, or is there a cancellation list or a waiting list or something like that? So you emailed them on the Thursday, I think it was, probably on the Friday. You emailed them before we went.
Emailed them on, it was either Thursday night or Friday. It might have even been Friday. I pretty much said,
you emailed, I paraphrased, but you pretty much said, like, any chance you've got a space for us to get on one of the English speaking tours?
I pretty much said, like, we will make any time.
They've only had 2 anyway.
I said, we are there for the weekend. I appreciate, like, I needed to book. I've tried to book. There's no way possible to book. I will make any time possible. Can I get on a wait list? Can you let me know if anyone cancels? Kind of forgot about it. Thought
a bit of a Hail Mary. Forgot about it. We crapped on. We went to Brussels. Then when we got up Saturday morning, you were checking your...
I was trying to look into the Tour de Guerre.
You were trying to look into the Tour de Guerre, weren't you? And then you stumbled upon an email from Cantillon saying, you can jump on the 10:30 tour.
They basically said it was about 30 minutes before the tour, so it was about 10 o'clock.
It was about 40 minutes before the tour
about 10
started, and you stumbled upon the email.
I think we got up at like 9:45ish, and I was going, what are we going to do today? Thinking I'd never hear back from Cantillon. I was like, I haven't heard back from you.
Thought it was a Hail Mary.
But you know what? I did my best. That's fine. We'll still go for drinks, and that's fine. And we were trying to work out, I literally was like, let me have a quick look to see if I can work out the Tour de Guerre situation. So I opened up my email to do that. Just instinctively, I'd opened up my email, which I normally wouldn't have done. And I think I opened it up on the email, like my Adventures and Optimism email, which I, again, never, like, I don't actively look at that as the first thing. But I just sort of opened it. And I saw the email back from the museum as I was just like half awake. You had got off coffee, like that was really great. And I was having my coffee, just mind my business, and sort of looked at it and was like, oh, I've got an email. And it was literally like, if we're happy to have you on the tour at, past. If you can make it, we can fit you on that tour. And I was like, we have 30 minutes to get ready.
That's it. We need to go. So yes, it was lucky you checked, because it gave us literally just enough time to get down there.
Had I not checked.
Yeah. And we made the tour. We made the 10:30 English tour. It was really good.
Which I would say as well, like, so that's a top tip for me, is like, even if you go to book in someplace, I know it sounds obvious, but some people just don't think to do it because they think, well, if it was available, it would be available.
Yeah. But obviously they were willing to accommodate an extra 2 people, because when it's a big group, because there's what, like, I don't know, 30 of us or something on the tour.
Oh no, there's definitely not that much.
20 people maybe. Yeah, maybe about 20. Yeah. So at the end of the day, an extra 2 people is not really going to make a massive difference, is it? So so I think that was a really good shout for you to do. So yes, we managed to get on the tour. We got into Cantillon at 10:30. and did the guided tour with the I can't remember the tour guy's name, but he was very good.
He was awesome.
He was very good. He was very knowledgeable.
I would say, I mean, to be fair, like if we had missed that, it looks like you could have self-guided anyways.
Yeah.
It was just that like you could only book for the guided tours on the Saturday. Any other day, I think you could just turn up and do it.
Yeah, you just do a self-guided. But
yeah, self-guided. But like, yeah, it was really, really good, really interesting. And I was trying to find effectively each ticket is €12 each. So for us, it cost us about 20 quid total for both of us. And we both got 3 samples at the end of it, which was
you get like free drinks.
Yeah, 3 drinks, and it was like sort of a progression of like I think it was like a young lambic, a slightly older lambic, and then the creek, or you basically had like the raspberry or the cherry, for the fruited ones, which was the framboise or the creek, which was. I mean, like, yeah, for us it was good because with 2 of us, we kind of got 1 in 1 of that. But I felt it was really good value for money for how much we learned, because I was trying to effectively find what samples we had because we didn't really know, because it was just like, oh, here's samples. So I was trying to work out if anybody had known what the samples we had were, and found someone on Reddit being like, yeah, I went to Cantillon, and I've gone there numerous times. I've never done the tour because I don't like tours. And people were like, you should do the tour. It was really good. And he was like, no, I don't do tours. And I was just like, I commented on it because I was like, actually, as a person that's done a lot of brewery tours.
Yeah, you've done a few tours, yeah.
I tend to only go to ones that are like iconic now, or places that I really want to go to, or because somebody else, a friend, wants to go, or something like I don't tend to just go to any tour.
No, because a lot of the time they're quite similar, and I think
I would argue that overall the general process of how to brew beer is
pretty similar.
Same. Yeah. Like there's going to be some differences and some difference of kit. Like, so when we went to Siren, like they had the spin bar, and there were some things that were different.
But when you've been to a few, it's you know most of it by now.
Fermentation vessels.
Whereas obviously Cantillon was really different.
But even then, I think I have a fairly decent. Like I do know stuff about like lambics and all that, and like I know about cool shit.
So maybe I probably got way more out of it than you did, because as I said on the previous episode, that my knowledge of lambics was slim to none. So just kind of being on the tour and learning about just how complicated the process is compared to non-lambic brewing, or and just the extra steps involved. It was really eye-opening for just how complicated, and the additional work involved for them to brew a proper lambic. And it just made me have this newfound appreciation for just how special, I guess, a lambic is. And I think I think that the guy said that Cantillion's it's 5th generation, I think he said,
something like that.
5th generation family owned, which is pretty impressive.
They almost didn't have it. It was like nobody wanted, because of the difficulties of supply and demand and everything else, and the cost of it. Like,
well, that was it.
The family was like, "Oh yeah, I don't really want to."
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
almost no one wanted to take it on.
It was the son-in-law.
It was a son-in-law, because I think he was saying about how early 19th century, maybe it was like 100%. Majority of breweries in Brussels were doing lambics, and then lambics kind of fell out of fashion, I think, kind of post-war 60s 70s sort of thing. I think he was saying. I'm
this when Joe does the actual.
I'm paraphrasing here because I didn't take notes and I can't remember. I've got rubbish memory.
Hilariously, I did actually take some notes on my phone.
You've not got them on you at the moment. But and yes, it sounded like it fell out of favour, and the rather than lambic breweries being the majority, they became the minority. Because I guess just the extra hoops and steps and jumps involved to do it. And I think a lot of the stipulations from like the government and things like that to, for some of the things involved, it just made it increasingly difficult. And then other factors involved as well. I think climate change Sounds like that's made a big difference more recently than...
So what you're talking about is they talked about how they brewed from November to March.
Yeah.
What was really funny is, because they basically said because of the temperature and kind of what you need to be able to brew a lambic. Like, we saw their cool ship, which was like, that was really cool. That was a cool ship. Because it was a cool ship. Because I feel like I've not seen like a proper person. I have seen them, but I've not seen like a proper like traditional like, not that it makes a difference when you see like the kit there is very clearly so much older, and it's just really interesting to see like the whole setup of like the way it's set up is really interesting as well. And so like seeing that element of it as well, I was like, oh, that's neat. And they talk about, because of how you have to, like, in the cool ship, the way that it happens, it cools down and all that stuff. Won't get into the style element of it and what the technical aspects are, but they say, oh, we brew from November until March. And I was going to ask the question as well of like, well, have you seen impacts from climate change? But before I could even ask that question,
someone else did, didn't they?
Somebody else had asked that question, and not that specific question, but they asked a question about the brewing schedule, and the guy was like, it's normally, November to March. However, we have recently seen how that's changed. And then he went on to a big conversation about how climate change has, we don't have Jo here to be, Dr. Doom and Gloom like sometimes she is, but it is really interesting because it's like the cool ship's like in the roof of like this really old building, and what was really cool was it was like you see these tiles and you're like, oh, there's holes in the tiles and there's this and that, and they're like, it's not insulated because we want to promote the biomes, like the biology that's there. We want to promote that natural, like the biomes that are there for the natural fermentation.
And that's it.
It was cool to see it in action, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And to hear them talk about, not cool to hear them talk about climate change, but
interesting to
hear them talk about like, and then sometimes we might brew later, sometimes we might have to stop our brewing.
Well, that's it. He was saying that unfortunately, because of climate change, more and more times now they're having periods during that November to March period where actually the weather is too hot. It's it's unseasonably hot for that time of year. Like 1 or 2 degrees hotter might not make a difference, but if it is strangely 5 degrees warmer, for example, one month, then they literally just can't brew because it's just the wrong temperature. And he's saying it's becoming increasingly difficult. So I think he was saying about how they were looking at opening possibly a different location out of the city, because obviously the city carries its own kind of climate.
What he had kind of said was like the city tends to be hotter.
It's hotter
anyway,
just because
so that
it's
doesn't really help
the city.
Things, so. What I found the most interesting, so like you talk about how like, oh, actually it might have been more interesting for you than it was for me because obviously I knew stuff. Actually, I found that was one of the most interesting.
I didn't say it'd be more interesting. I said I'd learn.
Well, you learn more, but actually, I would argue that I can't believe you finished your stuff. That's all you have.
Lovely. Delicious.
Can we just say, if you're watching the video, he's down to like 8 sips.
I've got a mouth. I've got one mouthful.
He's got
left.
like one big mouthful.
I'm having to savour that.
And I
just
have
the last bit.
A lot. Like that is insane to me. I looked over and I was like, and it's gone. But you said about how I might not have learned as much, but actually I felt like I learned quite a bit on that. Like I was constantly
sure you did.
Making
you were making notes. I was
because
watching
it was
you,
really interesting. I think like one of the most interesting parts for me was like when they went on this conversation about the style guidelines and have they put rules in place for the style.
There was a big conversation around that.
And Gurzes in general, and it was just like that was really interesting. So I think the thing that I found the most interesting as well was when he mentioned about the fact that they were like somebody said, oh, are you trying to actively work for like changing the rules and regulations and the laws? And they were like, we're too small. And it's really what's really eye-opening to me as like someone that knows that like Cantillon's very high thought of. Like you think that they carry more weight than they do. But like where they are, they're just considered like
small fry.
Any other brewery like small fry, and that was really interesting to me. I just very quickly looked at our notes before this, and I was just chuckling because one of the notes that I made was talking about how they were talking about Saccharomyces, and they were like comparing that to in terms of the body, and that's when they were talking about poops and farts. And he was explaining, this is like the poop, and this part would be like the fart. Yeah. And you were just chuckling away, and I was like, this is targeted for people like you, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
But another thing that I found really, really interesting as well is they were like, oh, yeah, when normally it's like quite flat, but like in order for us to make a sparkling one, we have to blend the new ones with the old ones. And that was really interesting as well.
Yeah. He said they'd take like a year-old one and a 3-year-old one and blend them together.
And that's how they make it sparkling.
And that's how they make it, sparkling. Yeah, no, it's really interesting.
It was really interesting.
It was really interesting that the beers at the end were nice.
My favourite, though, was when he was just like, another tour group had come in. There were some people that were self-guided tours, and then another group that had come in because we had like overrun, because I think we had so many questions on our tour, and it was like really good. Then we went on that tangent of like basically arguing about whether or not something was like, whether there were rules and regulations and what could be done, and it was like a whole thing. And then he was just like, all right, let's go get some fucking drinks.
Yeah, that's
like he just stopped and he was like, let's go get some fucking
enough
drinks.
Chatting, let's go drinking. Yeah. It was really good. It was very good experience. I think that was like one of the highlights of the trip for me.
Yeah, and like I said, 20 quid total for 2 people, 20 quid for 2 people, and you got 3 samples each, and I felt that was really educational. So even if you've gone to a normal brewery before, even if you don't, and I would say we're talking about it from 2 ends of the spectrum as well. Like, as a person that knows more about beer and is a beer nerd and has gone into like numerous brewery tours and whatever else, and then somebody else that is like really likes beer but maybe doesn't know all the. I don't think it's unfair for me to say somebody that likes beer but maybe doesn't know all the ins and outs of everything. Both of us went on that tour and came out like, that was brilliant.
We both
and we both, I feel like, learned a lot of stuff. And we both enjoyed the beer, and it was a really
really good experience.
Really good experience.
Yeah, everyone was really friendly and nice there.
Yeah, the staff were really, really lovely. Really good value for money, in my opinion. We didn't go to the bar because there was another 2 people on our tour, and they were like, can we go to the bar? And I heard them talking about the bar fills up quite quickly.
Right, okay.
And they said, yeah, you can try, but I think it's already full. Whether or not that's true or not, they said the bar gets filled quite quickly. You can try to go up there.
But also, we had a few drinks there. We had the tour. You bought some merch. You bought your T-shirt. You bought some takeaways.
Yeah, but I'm saying for anybody that would want to go, yes, there is a bar there. We didn't go to the bar.
We didn't go to the bar. Yeah, we had other places
and I
to go,
didn't even try.
No, we didn't
because of the fact that I had already heard somebody talking about oh, can we go up there? And they said, oh, it's full at the moment. I believe you can give it a go. And I saw them go up and come back down again.
Right, okay, yes. It could have been full already.
So I reckon it was already full.
Yeah, it was probably about 12 o'clock by the time, we kind of finished.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, no, to your point, I then went and I bought merch and got all my bits, which was actually, I feel like, again, you might not feel this way, but like people that know who Cantillon are and everything else, I thought it was quite reasonable. I got 2 750ml bottles. This T-shirt that I'm wearing, if you can see it, if you're watching the video, and a really nice glass. And I got that for, it was roughly about £40, which is not bad at all. Because especially when you're talking about a T-shirt being in the mix, I really was gutted because I really wanted the T-shirt that was grey and it had like what looked like a grape, but the grapes themselves on the bunch were all hops. They were like purple hops. They were out of stock on that T-shirt. Yeah. And then I wanted the one that had like the Cantillon guy on it, and that was out of stock.
Always
so I've got this one. And the reason I didn't gravitate to this one, if you're watching it, it looks like the Cubs logo. It's like it's like a C with a little B on the inside. It's got to be deliberate because if you look at, if I just pull up now for you what the Cubs look like.
Can show me later, it's fine. Okay, yeah, it's definitely
That's
right.
the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, there's no.
And it is the exact same thing. Fair. It just doesn't say UBS on it.
They just reverse the colours.
Yeah, they didn't reverse the colours, really, did they? Okay. I guess they did reverse it a little bit. But...
Yeah, so that was our Cantillon
That was our Cantillon experience. And then, well, so so one of the top tips that I've got as well is like, pay attention to when you're booking tours. I took this one because this was literally like an opportunity on my doorstep. I was like, got to do it, I'm gonna do it. But when we looked, like, L'Hermitage was around the corner from Cantillon, but didn't open till 2. So effectively, we finished this tour, and it was probably about noon, around noon time.
About midday,
And by the time we were done, we had potted about a bit, got the merch, and was ready to leave, took photos outside, and we were trying to figure out what to do next. I was like, the closest place that I want to go to is L'Hermitage, but
not open yet.
Wasn't open for another few hours.
So where did we go?
Well, we went back to the hotel. We dropped stuff off at the hotel because we didn't bring a backpack, which is another top tip, which I mentioned last time. Bring a backpack if you're going to get takeaways, or have a plan for how you're going to get takeaways. Because we just had it in I think they just gave us like a paper bag to carry
like a brown paper bag, which isn't the best for like heavy 750
ml
bottles.
Actually, they gave us the Cantillon bag, which actually was like reinforced. It was quite good, but I still felt like I was really worried.
So top tip, bring a backpack so you can load it full of beer.
Or plan how you're going to get your takeaways.
Yeah. So where did we go after Cantillon?
So we went to Brasserie de la Senne. We arrived there about 2 p.m. And that was the one that we effectively had to take. We had to like take the train out to and then walk to. And I would argue, so one of the things I mentioned on the last episode was I was a little bit worried about safety if I was going to solo travel. Yeah. And I would say that this is the one, and you can keep me honest here, I think this is the one that you had sort of said, if I had solo traveled, you would have been worried about me going out this way.
Yeah, you have to walk through some less than idealistic looking places.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's out. It's quite secluded,
like industrial
where it
kind
is.
Of estates, and it's just a bit.
It doesn't feel as safe and secure.
Feel as safe,
and it probably would have been fine, but it would have been that thing that if I hadn't gone with you, I might have. The plans might have changed if it was by myself or with Joe or whatever, and we might not have gone at the same time because we might have been like, oh, we'll deal with that later and work it out later, and we might have ended up going later in the day. And actually, when we went, like I said, by the time we got there, it was 2 p.m. It was just after lunchtime,
daylight,
so
thing,
it wasn't too bad. But if I probably, admittedly, could have been safe, but I probably wouldn't have wanted to walk there by myself. But saying that, I felt like it was like the beers were pretty good, but I did learn the lesson of like 250 ml. That is a lot bigger than I thought it was, because in my brain I was thinking of like 330 ml cans.
You were thinking like a third, I guess, weren't you?
I think so. I think so.
You were expecting a third when you ordered.
In my brain, I was like 330 ml cans, and they're like little.
You went
like,
straight in
cans.
for like 4 or 5.
So I went in for 3 250 mils and a bottle, because I was trying to get 4 250 mils, and he was like, "This is not
bottle only.
The tap's tapped out, but I can get a bottle of like this." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." And it was the stout, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of want to try the dry stout, so that's fine." So I did 3 250 mils in a bottle. All of that worked out to 12 quid though.
Pretty good value.
Like roughly 12 quid. Like really good value.
They weren't my favourite beers of the trip.
So I really liked that. Like, when I say I really liked them, I liked them like the normal amount. I didn't say that there was anything like it was good. I thought it was really good. There was nothing that was
nothing that will stand out though, was there?
But I think it's just because they were normal style. Like there wasn't anything unique.
Yeah,
we'll talk about other spots that maybe had some more unique and interesting stuff. There wasn't anything that we had that was like, this nothing is different. That stood out. It was just normal like Belgian styles, and they were really quite good. The kit was good. I think the pain was just that it was so far out, and it was kind of on its own in its own little area. There wasn't really even like shops or restaurants or anything else near it. In that regard, like there were things near it, but it's not like you had a restaurant next door or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. I ended up getting a takeaway, a takeaway bottle, which is about £5, but I lost it. So that's another top tip and a lesson. This is exactly why you need a bag. So you can put it in a bag and you don't just carry a bottle leave it somewhere. Around. Because what happens is you then day drink and you put the bottle down next to you and then you get up to leave and you don't pick the bottle back up.
So where did we go next?
So we ended up, to be fair, Joe can post a link to the charity beer, but like it was really cool because it was like a beer that was
the right to housing of undocumented people.
So the beer that I bought was called 100 PAP, and it was fighting against the material and temporal insecurity of housing for groups of undocumented people. So I've just read that from the website. Joe can post the link to that, but it was really cool, really interesting of a charity of what it was supporting. So I did buy a bottle of that, but I'll never know if it tasted good or not. I wanted to share the link because I wanted it was a really good charity that.
Well, that's it. I mean, regardless of the fact that you didn't get to taste the beer, at least you still supported the charity.
So that was it. I said to you, I was like, actually, to be fair, because it was like a charity beer, I felt a lot better about losing it because I was like, no matter what, it was still going.
Yeah,
to the
that's
charity,
it. The money's still going to them. Yeah.
So it was all good. But yeah, so we left there and we went to La Source. That was the next place. That was quite close. That was walking distance. That wasn't train ride distance. And it was in like a warehouse. That was really quite cool.
Yeah. So cool atmosphere. Yeah.
It had like almost I want to say like in US terms like a flea market. But
yeah, maybe.
Would you call that here?
I guess. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like a warehouse, wasn't it? With like market stalls. No, not really. I guess more of like an indoor market. I'd call it an indoor market.
Yeah, so you had like people selling like vintage clothes, and
like records,
stuff
like
that.
Yeah,
so that was really cool.
Lots of little businesses inside there.
Some restaurant. There was a few restaurants,
little coffee shops, and like restaurants and stuff. Yeah, it was a cool little scene. And yeah,
that was really our vibe. To be fair, we walked in. You're like, this is much more.
This is more my vibe. Yeah. So yeah, went to La Source. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? They had quite a lot.
Yeah, so we got there about 3:30. It was quite a short walk. We got 3 250 mils, and so bear in mind, so we got 3 of those, and I got a €30 piece of artwork, which was I was happy with it. You were not as happy with it. I was very happy with it. In total, that cost us like roughly £36. So those beers.
I think your maths is probably off, but yeah.
No, 100% not, because I looked at my bank account. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, so what were the beers?
Well, I don't remember.
You don't remember the beers?
I mean, I know what they are roughly. I didn't have those listed. Round.
Who cares how much they cost?
I'll pull the photo up. I'll pull the photos up.
So
and we can talk about
I remember one of them being a ginger and. Was it ginger and lime sour?
I don't know. You tell me, because you're the Mr. I know what beers I
had. It was one was a jalapeno. So it was 3 we bought on tap.
We did.
So one was a jalapeno and something.
A jalapeno and what?
I can't remember.
So we had the one you were talking about. So we had 2-Headed Demon, which was an espresso ginger sour.
That was it. Espresso ginger sour.
Yep.
Yeah. That was nice. That was really good.
I think we also had one called Robert Le Diablo, which was Diablo menthe sour. It says menthe sour, and that was a bit minty. So
that was minty. Yeah.
And I don't know if there was. I don't think we got the jalapeno one in the end. Oh yeah, Barrage, jalapeno and pomelo goes.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, no, I enjoyed all those. I thought they were really good. I thought
I think out of everywhere they had the most interesting bits.
They did. They had
looking at the list at the moment. They have like a wild barley wine on the menu. They had a dipper. Not to say like a dipper is different, but just the fact they had those interesting things, and they had a dipper. They had something called Black Velvet, which is imperial stout with Earl Grey and chocolate. They had trying to think of what else they had that was quite interesting. So They had a triple. They had chili and lime sour. They had a spruce tips gruet, which I almost got that one, but I was like, I don't want to get too many beers. So yeah, they had a really good variety, and a lot of them were quite interesting, to be fair.
And it was a cool kind of setup they had, wasn't it? It had kind of had like a little stage in there.
We ended up sitting on like the stage.
We sat
area.
on the stage on the.
It was like pallet sofas.
It was like pallet sofas on the stage, but yeah, it looked like they used the stage because they had like kind of like lights set up and little side access areas for people to like disappear behind the stage. It looked like they had a little setup there for like maybe they probably did like stand-up comedy or open mic nights or something there.
Yeah, so I think for the fact that like three beers that we shared between two of us, and I think it was the right amount to share, but like 250ml for 3 different glasses shared between 2 people. Like that was, I feel like when we have a plan for the whole day.
Well, that's it. We weren't planning
on
weren't planning on staying anywhere for too long, were we? Because there were so many places you wanted to go. So obviously we had a few drinks there, and then we went to somewhere else. That was in the same.
Chill. You were literally on a run. All I was gonna say was that cost 10 quid. So 10 quid for 3 drinks was pretty good, I think.
Yeah, we got some
takeaways. And then I got takeaways. I got 6 beers for takeaway, and 2 of them were 750ml, and that was 40 quid. So that was pretty good. And then yes, we did go to another place. So we'll go to the next place, which was Fermenthings. That was literally just across the warehouse.
Yeah, it was in the same place, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were doing some type of workshop there as well, which was really interesting.
Yeah,
they were doing like a sake workshop or something.
It was, wasn't it to do with, it wasn't sake because they were making something with their hands, food related.
I know it was Japanese related.
Yeah, it wasn't like mochi making or something, was it? No. I'm pretty sure it was food. They were making something with food. They were making, some food. They were making something. I can't remember off the top of my head now.
It was interesting though, because it's like you could tell that space was used for workshops and workspaces and just like a whole bunch of stuff, and that was good. So that was pretty cool. We just had a drink there. So like 1 drink and some takeaway beers cost about 15 quid. So, and it looks like they offer some nice classes.
I think we had one of those pastries as well.
Yeah, we had a pastry.
One of those.
No, the cinnamon bun.
Cinnamon buns.
The cinnamon buns.
The cinnamon buns in
Belgium.
Really good.
They just
really
hit different, don't they?
We had so many of those. We had one from like pretty much every time we saw them, didn't we?
They do. They hit different. They were
pretty good. Yeah.
So from there, what was annoying is like we had to go from that. So that area is kind of out of the central area, as well as like where Cantillon was not like in the central area to take a train to it. But then we had to take the train back towards Cantillon because we went to Brasserie de l'Hermitage. So we got there around like just before 6, really. And we got a flight. So for a flight and 2 takeaway bottles, one of which being 750ml, that was only about 30 quid. So I think that's pretty good. Quite liked it because like I really liked the artwork. There was a lot of like tarot style artwork, and the vibes there were really cool. I think like for me that fit. I think La Source and L'Hermitage were probably the 2 spaces that I felt were the most like, if I lived there, those were the places that I would probably go to hang out. Like I like Cantillon, but I like the beers. I'm not like, it's not necessarily that's the type of space that I would hang out in. Yeah. Whereas like I would say La Source / Fermenthings and L'Hermitage were the places that I would go, oh, that's actually going to be my hangout spot.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
So
cool vibes.
Yeah, I think that was good. We then ended up heading back towards the centre, and we tried to go to Delirium. The problem is with Delirium, there's so many different spots for Delirium. So we started queuing for the cafe, and
the queue was pretty big.
The queue was outrageous. Yeah. It was not moving.
It was raining.
It was raining. it was raining, the queue just didn't move. And then you went and looked ahead, you were like, there's another one around the corner. So let's just
we
go
went to the tap house.
You're like, that's for food. That's for food.
Well, that was it. We were queuing at the food entrance. Everyone was sitting down.
Which apparently there's an upstairs to the cafe,
right,
which is what we should have gone to, I guess. But we had gone around the corner. We went to Delirium Village and we got one of their beer meters, which I think was like 10 beers for 30 euros.
Yeah.
I mean, how did you feel about it?
So it was very gimmicky.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed.
No, I think it's the whole, it's you're getting 10 beers in a meter and it's literally served in a meter long.
It was quite intense.
What's the word I'm looking for? Flight. It's like a meter long flight, isn't it? So so
but they were like quite big. Like it wasn't like a normal flight serving where it was quite small. They were quite big, like serving sizes. So like when you didn't like it,
there was too much of it. Yeah, and they were very. Yeah, they weren't the best tasting beers. They're all very, not my kind of.
So the thing is, I like Delirium. Like I like Delirium beers.
I've had Delirium
I've really
before,
enjoyed my Delirium beers I've had, but these just felt like they just weren't kept properly, or like no one gave a shit. Like it just felt soulless.
It was. Yeah, it's not the best vibes either. Really, was it?
No, we saw some. Like I watched a guy stand at the bottom of the stairs. And he didn't work there, from what I could tell. He didn't order a drink. He was just stood. And this is what makes me go back to saying about like safety levels. It's like if I was going to solo travel as a female, I mean, I'd be fine because I'd been like, please don't talk to me. But this man was just stood at the bottom of the stairs, looking at his phone, just kind of like keeping to himself, but not drinking. But he was in like a bar, and he was there for like the entirety of the time that we were there. And it was just giving me like weird vibes.
Yeah,
like I was like, that guy's being really awkward. Like by himself as well, which was just what I think made it more sus.
Yeah.
So and it was just like it was more of it felt more of a club and like a cheap bar.
A cheap bar.
And I was expecting
this
like a menu that was like a really big menu, but they didn't even have that there. So like obviously we went to the wrong Delirium, but like we did try to go back another night to one of the other ones.
We went to the right one,
which I think was the correct one because they had the menu. But still
the vibe.
I think we basically like went into it. I got to the menu and I started flipping through the menu, and I was just like, no, and I left because it was just the vibe.
It's the vibe, it's way too kind of.
It felt more like a proper bar, which is fine, but it didn't feel miles away from the shitty bar.
Yeah, it was very similar.
It just felt, like I said, like cheap. Like it didn't feel like anyone cared about the beer. It was just here's a menu.
Like a bunch of lads.
But maybe, I feel like it would be like a stag do spot.
Yeah, it probably would be. Yeah, that's it. And that's the thing. And they're right in the centre of town, aren't they? So they probably do get a lot of tourists, a lot of people, just wanting to get
beer
drunk,
tourism,
rather than actually wanting to, kind of sample beers and actually like the taste. So
which again,
probably
I love Delirium.
They're just catering to. Obviously, they're just catering to the kind of kind of business they want to get.
I love Delirium, but I didn't love the location.
No, it was a bit. It wasn't really worth it, was it?
Yeah, like I said, we had the opportunity to go to one that had the big menu, and I was just like, I don't really. We want to.
We didn't spend very long
maybe next time I'd go to the cafe, because maybe the cafe is a bit different. Maybe the vibes are different there. I don't know. They seem different from the outside, or maybe I just need to go to one of the other Deliriums, but. Yeah, I wasn't feeling it on this trip, so I personally wouldn't recommend it. But
I mean, I had
take it with a pinch of salt because maybe
it was overrated. But
take it with a pinch of salt because maybe we just didn't go to the one that was the best one.
Better one.
I don't know, but and the beer meter was just didn't feel like it was worth the money, to be honest. Especially when I just talked about all the other stuff that we got for less than 30 euros. I felt like it was just better quality, even if it was less than less than physical volume. The quality was so much better.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like I could easily hang out and spend more money in any of those other spots. Then yeah, basically we went back after that. We went back to the hotel, and I had a Chimay Blue at the bar. That's kind of where we were. Back to the hotel. Had another beer at the hotel, and ordered burgers to the hotel. And basically, I thought we were going to have second wind, and I was like, "We're going to have second wind. We're going to have these burgers. We're going to go out." And we're going to go back out to all these other spots, and it's going to be great. I had like all these beer spots. I was like, this is going to be so good. I just passed out. I had 3 burgers.
I mean, it was a long day.
And I insisted that we were going to get 3 burgers.
Yeah, you decided that 3 burgers and chips was...
in my infinite wisdom.
Yeah, from a burger place that was meant to be like really, really good, and they weren't amazing.
Fine.
It was fine.
It wasn't bad.
I felt let down by Google in... Brussels. I normally depend on Google reviews and will only eat places that are like at least 4.5. This place was 4.7, meant to be really, really good burgers, and they were average at best.
They were fine. Like I thought they were alright, but like they were on par with anything you could get in any other decent burger place.
Yeah, any half decent burger place. Yeah, so they're a little bit overrated. But yeah, they were fine.
I passed out, but then you went on a mish.
I wanted to get a waffle because we were in Belgium, so I wanted a Belgian waffle. So I looked up found the only waffle place that I could find that wasn't a touristy, one of the tourist trap main kind of town centre ones. That was another 4.7, I think it was, on Google. It was highly rated, and it was really disappointing. I was really disappointed with it. So
name and shame. What was it?
It was called Beyond Waffles. I think they're called Beyond Waffles because they do sweet and savoury waffles.
They're beyond good.
They do like fried chicken and waffles and stuff as well. But yeah, honestly, it was absolutely appalling. I was really disappointed. I felt let down by Google twice in one day. So I went to the supermarket, the only one that was open in town, and bought loads of chocolate because it's Belgium.
And then the next morning I went, what is this chocolate? And you're like, oh yeah, I was going to tell you about that.
But when I came back to the hotel, you were fast asleep. So I ate the chocolate myself.
So the worst part was I woke up at like 1:30 in the morning. Like, shit, the Tour de Guerres. And I had to like quickly Google everything I could. And
you wanted to try and sort all that out at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, woke up fully clothed.
Yeah.
No teeth brushed. And was like, shit, I need to figure this out. So did like a really quick Google. And just set my alarm. Was like, I'm getting 6 hours of sleep. This is going to be good. And then worried about the chocolate later. Really, Sunday, we basically, as I mentioned, we had to last minute be like, shit, here's the time we've got to wake up to be able to get to the Tour de Guerres. We did all that, as you would have heard about in the last episode, and then we got back from that. We grabbed coffee and tacos, as one does. 2 separate locations.
Two separate locations, yeah, because that's a weird combination to go to a place that does coffee and tacos.
Yeah. We grabbed coffee and then we walked and got tacos. So that was, they were both good. Yeah. I thought they were both really good.
Yeah.
And then, we decided to walk back. And on the way back, we happened to walk by Brussels Beer Project. So we got there about 8:00. And I mean, it was on my list of places to go, but I kind of given up and was like, oh yeah, we're not really going to get to go to a lot of other places.
Yeah, because you had loads on your list, didn't you?
Yeah, I had loads on my list. And so that was one that I was like, you know what? As we're walking by, it might as well just stop in.
Yeah.
I think I'd said like, oh, it's fine. I don't even need to drink anymore. I'm fine. Like, and we walked by and I was like, going for a cheeky drink then.
It was a cool place. It was a cool little venue, wasn't it? That had a cool vibe.
The space was cool, yeah. That was a place that I think we would definitely hang out in. There was a really lovely beer garden. We sat outside.
Yeah.
The weather was lovely. Like we got really lucky.
We got lucky that it didn't rain
nice.
Too much. Yeah.
Like if it rained, the space inside equally seemed cool, but like the space outside was really nice.
That was cool vibes.
So we did that. We only had a beer. It was about £4, just for budgeting purposes, if you're wondering. About £4 for that. It was like they served it in a lovely teku glass, which is nice because you don't always get teku glasses when you go out.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So it was nice that I was like, oh, this is a nice little glass out here. And it did look like they had like a decent selection of different types of drinks. So that was good, different styles of beer, which was nice. We then went back to the hotel and because we had quite a lot of stuff to drop off at that point. Like you had a whole bag
full of beers,
that we'd been walking around with. So we dropped that off at the hotel, and then we were kind of like, oh, should we stay in? What should we do? And I really wanted to go, like, out of anywhere else, I really wanted to go to a spot called Bon Vieux Temps, because I had heard if I was going to get I'm going to do my best to pronounce this, and it's probably going to be wrong because it's like Flemish, Dutch, whatever. So it's really hard to pronounce. But a Westvleteren, a Westvleteren 12. So that's how I would say it. It's really hard to pronounce for me because, I'm sure people are going to write in and be like, I can't believe you pronounced it like that, but I'm doing my best. Yep. I was told if I was going to get one of those anywhere, that would be the location. But like beyond that, even if that wasn't on the table, I heard it being like, it's this old sort of Guildhall type building and like very old historic building that gives you those vibes like reminiscent of that like Guildhall.
Yeah.
And like great beer selection. And I was like, you know what, I really, really, really want to go there. So I thought, you know what, if nothing else, that'll be the last place I'll end it on. And sure enough, they had the Westvleteren.
They did.
So Westvleteren 12. So that was awesome. Like I was like, done. Like just like, yeah, I'll have that. Yeah. I'll have that. Don't need to have anything else. Just that. Yeah, that was about, it wasn't even that much. I think it was about 14 quid as well. Like it wasn't like I was paying some extortionate price. And like you were just like, is that good? Like I was like, these are, you cannot, like I had to explain,
no, I got it. Yeah, you explained it. I had to explain, like you can't just such a big
get
deal.
That
yeah,
anywhere.
You can't just get it anywhere. Yeah, so that was really cool that they had it in this place. Yeah, it was a cool venue, wasn't it? It was up like a little side street, which was it was
like you had to like follow like some Harry Potter-esque.
Yeah, it was like up an alleyway and then up like another alleyway sort of thing. Yeah, and it was very cool aesthetic, wasn't it? It was very like medieval-esque kind of.
It did. So as people that play D&D.
Yeah, as you kept saying, you did say it a few times, didn't you? While we're in there, that when you're playing D&D and you're talking about being in a tavern or imagining a tavern.
That's what I imagine a tavern to be like.
Yeah, that would be kind of pretty close to spot on what you would have in your head. Yeah, it did look like we'd step back in time a little bit. And it was really nice. It was a very, very, very cool place.
It was cool. And like, it was funny because like I ordered that and she like, the lady that was behind the bar, she like popped the top of it and then just didn't even ask questions.
Didn't even
ask questions. She literally handed me the bottle. She sort of like, when I ordered it, I was like, just that, please. And she sort of like chuckled and was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like not in a condescending way.
No, she kind of just smiled
in a knowing way. It was like she
smiled and nodded in a knowing way when she took the menu back off you. And then she went away, she grabbed it.
Opened it in front of me.
As soon as she opened it, she just handed you the bottle cap without hesitation.
She didn't even think about it, just went like,
no, and she knows. She knew. She knows
the
her
assignment.
She knows her clientele. She knows the kinds of people who order that particular beer. She knows that you want to keep how special it is. I guess it's a special beer, isn't it?
She knew the assignment. She handed me the bottle.
She knew how special it was. She knew that you'd probably want to keep the bottle cap. She made a very good
assessment,
very good judgment call that you probably would. So yeah, without hesitation.
It was pretty cool because it was very chill. Like the space, like I said, the space up as a D&D person, like I could just see it being this D&D universe, which was really cool.
Yeah,
hands down, I'd go back there again. Like I probably would have got more drinks, but it was so like by the time we got there, it was about 9:30, and we had done the whole day of like the tour de guerre, like everything else. I was exhausted by that point. But also, I was mentally drained.
I think you wanted to finish on a high as well.
But I wanted to finish on a high. I was like,
because we did go into,
and that was the one place that I really wanted to go to.
Yeah,
and I was like, I can't have. We tried to go to Delirium after, and that was when we went back into the Delirium that had that really big menu. And I walked in, and I was like,
do you know what? Nah.
No. Like I was like,
you want to finish
it.
on a high. You want to finish on a high from the last place, and
And the thing was, that in that space as well, it was like so the vibes were very chill. Like everyone was kind of. It wasn't like a loud, raucous bar.
No.
Like I mean, it was active.
Yeah.
But it felt very much like D&D medieval tavern vibes, where everyone was kind of. You have like the different parties doing their own. Thing as a group, and it wasn't like anyone like when you go in some places and people try to talk to you when you're at the bar.
Yeah,
you're like, please don't. You're
like, no, we sat on the bar. They left us alone. Yeah.
Everyone just leaves you alone, and I was like, I'm just taking the vibes. It was dark. It was just like a lovely dark, really old feeling setting. No, it was cool. And when we tried to go in Delirium, I was like,
no,
not
my jam, not my kind of place.
Absolutely not the one.
Let's finish on a high sort of thing.
Yeah, and then we went back to the hotel. I did have a beer at the hotel because I had taken beers with, and I was like, I don't just want to abandon beers, so I had I had the Beyond Belief pasta graph, which was pretty good. So I had that, and that was my little nightcap, anyways. My favourite thing about the hotel, we were talking about this to everyone as well, there was a party button in the lift. I can't remember if we talked about it last time or not, but there was a party button in the lift where you push the button.
It starts playing music.
And it would start playing really loud music. And it would be rainbow lights. I liked the... And we ran into people on the way back that had come in, and we were in the lift with them. And obviously we had a few drinks. We're like, this would be funny. We'll just push the party light button on it. And nothing happened. And that was the most embarrassing thing.
That was very awkward.
We were like, haha, party button, and
they
nothing
just kind
happened.
of nervously laughed, didn't they? Politely.
They did politely laugh. And I was like, it's a party button.
Yeah, shame it didn't work that
Which
night
it then worked the next morning.
Yeah.
When the cleaner was there.
Maybe they turned it off after a certain time of night.
Maybe they knew that we would abuse it. They knew that we would abuse it. So they were like, nah, I can't be doing that.
But that wasn't your last beer in Belgium, though,
wasn't, because then the next morning, we then started, we kind of packed in the morning. So what was really great about this hotel, and I feel like every hotel should adopt this, 12 p.m. checkout.
Yeah.
I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Because I'm not in a rush. I'm either not in a rush to wake up if I've had a really long night, or if I feel like I want to get out and make the most of the day before I have to leave, we could get up really early, which is what we did.
What we do, yeah.
So we woke up really early. We went in search of coffee and baked goods and final shopping and everything else. I think I started to pack the night before when we got back. I threw the majority of stuff in a suitcase so I wouldn't have to worry about it. And then the next morning, we did a little bit more packing, and then we headed out, came back, and then finished packing.
Yeah.
So that was really good. And then we basically checked out of the hotel room at 12, had them hold our bags, because our Eurostar wasn't until about 2:30, 2:30-ish, 2:40-ish.
Yeah.
So we still had a bit more time. So actually, I would argue that was the best time to take the train, because I think you really got the most of if we had bumped it, because originally we were talking about, should we take the earlier Eurostar or should we take the later one? So our later one, because we had to do a round trip. Should we do an earlier one? Maybe, but actually I'm glad we didn't, because that would have felt really rushed.
Yeah, no, that gave us enough time, didn't it? As you said, we got up in the morning, we had coffees, we went to a bakery, we got some baked goods, we went to another coffee place, we got those cookies. We then got back. We managed to, get checked out in time without rushing. We had plenty of time to check out. Left our bags, and then we went on search for food places as well, didn't we? We went to a nice little food hall that was quite close by.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I got my last beer was. So Wolf was a food court area. So if you've gone to York and you've gone to Spark in York, or Blue Collar Corner in Reading, or I would say it's not necessarily shipping container like some of those places are, but it is very much vibe. Food hall of you can order from one of multiple
10 different kind of vendors all serving different styles of food, and you kind of just pick where you want to eat and just kind of sit down and order food and grab it. And there was
they had a main bar there, and the main bar was serving Wolf beer, which they had a brewery that was located there. And like I went in and I saw I could see the tanks and stuff like that. And that was pretty. I mean, that was cool. And the beer itself was good. I mean, the food, it wasn't bad by any means, but it was just like, it was fine. Like, I wouldn't prioritize that. If you were like, I could eat there or I could eat somewhere else that I'm more interested in, I wouldn't prioritize it.
No, and
I thought it was quite overpriced.
It was overpriced for what it was. The Korean fried chicken just wasn't Korean.
No, it was just
fried
chicken cutlet pieces.
It was just it was breaded chicken.
It was breaded chicken. It was like chicken goujons, but not even.
Yeah, it was chicken breast, which you shouldn't really do for Korean fried chicken. It should be thighs.
It also wasn't fried in that way,
and it wasn't fried and it wasn't in proper sauce. But it was fine. I think edible. I think the whole kind of we're big into like what you call street food. I think from my experience, Brussels isn't massively into that. I think the street food scene out there is just not.
The difficulty is you have like waffles and frites and like all these things that should in theory be street food. But what I found the most difficult was like finding places that were actually quality.
Yeah.
And not just tourist traps.
And I think that was the problem with staying bang in the central was it's all just the tourist trappy places. We had to hit the outskirts to get some of the nicer places. But it was, Wolf to be fair,
Wolf had like, they had a bad one that was really good. And like, it was just around the corner from our hotel. So to be fair, we left the train at 12:40 and we got back and were sitting within the Eurostar, checked in through security, ready to go by 1:40. So, I mean, to be fair, the location wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, it was pretty convenient.
Yeah. So I think,
and that was that Wolf beer. That was the final beer of the trip.
That was my final trip. Yeah. I guess I think we should do some shout outs to the other places we went that aren't beer related that we really enjoyed. So Swookie.
Yeah, Swookie, those cookies were amazing.
Swookie, they do cookies and they do amazing cookies.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's a top tip for me is like there was loads of like really good baked goods.
Yeah.
And like whether that be pastries or cookies or whatever, we brought home Swookies and we brought home like a cinnamon twist knot situation.
Yeah, those cinnamon things were really
cinnamon
good.
Knots is the best way I could describe it. And they like all of that you can freeze. So like if you live in the UK, obviously I can't help if you live in the US or somewhere else that's further away, but if you live in the UK, you can easily take the stuff home and put it in the freezer.
I mean, if I knew that was going to be the plan, I would have bought twice as many cookies because I ate mine on the train.
You did eat yours. Mine were all in the freezer. I will say that they defrosted and tasted amazing. Like I defrosted the cookie I had the other day and you were like, oh, is the one that you were like, I don't even want that, and you were talking shit on it, and then you had it and you were like, actually it's really pretty good.
Yeah, all their cookies were really good. They were really
it was like
super
a creme brulee one, and you were like, I don't want that, and then you were like, actually it was pretty good.
But the store itself, the staff super friendly. Yeah, she was really nice, really patient with us as we kind of struggled to make choices of which cookies to pick for. I think we both wanted the peanut ones and they were just out the oven, but she said she's happy 5 minutes will be good. Let us wait to get them. So so shout out to Swookies.
Swookies was great. Bark Boys coffee. I was going to say Bark
Boys coffee.
Favorite coffee. It's like
very cool.
Basically make the coffee and then they can it.
Yeah, they literally do it like can it style. Right in front of you, which was very cool.
So only negative was they were out of the big cans, the big boy cans.
Big cans. We had to get the small coffees each time, which
all the coffees were really good, and that's where I got some of the cinnamon twists. They were really the cinnamon knots,
and their cookies were very good as well.
You had the cookies, I had the cinnamon knots.
You had the cinnamon knots. I also went to Stella Coffee place.
Stella.
Unfortunately, Stella the dog.
So Stella's a dog.
Stella's a dog.
Stella is she's not an Eskimo. She's a
big white floofy thing.
The name is escaping me right now, but
you know what we mean. Big
Samoy.
White Samoy. That's it.
Samoy. She's a big white Samoy.
Big white Samoy, and unfortunately, she wasn't there when we visited. But we drank some of Stella's coffee.
We brought coffee beans,
and we bought some coffee beans with Stella's face on it. Which
we may or may not have gone to Stella because we really wanted to find Stella.
It was highly rated as well. I think now it's like a 4.8 on Google.
Yeah.
So yes, we made the trek to Stella.
The food looked really good. Like, we had some food, but like we had
we had a pain au chocolat and a cinnamon roll from
there.
Yeah,
but they did like egg
but they looked like they did brunch and stuff as well. Coffee was really good from that. I had a V60 pour over.
Really fancy.
It was very fancy. Had the proper Hario glass container as well. What else? We went to Damn Good Cafe. They were pretty good. You had a chai latte, didn't you? That was
what I didn't like of those, that like compared to some of the other places, they didn't have as much iced coffee ranges as some of the other places. Buddy
had the peanut butter.
They like specialised in. I mean, if you've got a nut allergy, not the place for you.
They had a peanut butter.
They specialised in
peanut butter latte, and then also like
like homemade peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
Almond butter lattes, peanut butter latte. Like I said, if you've got a nut allergy, not the place for you. But if you
call
love
it Buddy
peanut,
Buddy, they should call it Nutty
Buddy. Yeah. I think if you're like us and you love nuts and peanuts and all that,
peanut-based things,
that is the place. Like, it was good. It was quite far. I would argue it was quite far out of the way for where we stayed. Like, we just happened to be going by there because of where we were walking back from.
But also, it was one of the places,
and it was one of the places on our list.
That was another highly rated place.
It was a place on our list, but like, it wasn't a place that was like near enough by to us. Like, we had to make an effort to go to it. And I would say it was probably worth the effort, to be fair. I don't think Damn Good Coffee was as worth the effort as Buddy Buddy was, in my opinion. Controversial. I feel like your face says, nah.
Was there anything else? Any other places you wanted to do a shout out to? Did you have anything else on your
I can't think of any others, to be fair. Like, in terms of most favourite, least favourite, standouts, any other comments, any other observations? Like, what were your favourite beers? Favourite locations for the beers?
I think overall Cantillon, the whole Cantillon experience.
The whole experience
was the highlight.
The beers were good. The experience was good.
Yeah. That
worth
was
it.
As a whole package. That was the highlight.
People will be like, oh, beer wanker, you've gone to Cantillon. But like, in my opinion, yeah, it's fine. Call me a beer wanker. It was worth it. Good value for money. And the experience that you got,
I thought the overall experience was really good. Yeah.
So let people call you a beer wanker. It doesn't really matter.
That was the highlight.
I think I really like La Source because they just had a lot of really interesting stuff. To be fair,
and very cool vibes as well.
I felt like everything was really reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And I felt like Delirium was just fine.
Yeah, so Delirium was overrated.
I would actually argue that if you were going, that's probably the place that should be the least prioritised.
Yeah, I mean, I'd heard it was overrated, and I kind of agree.
I would argue going to like Brasserie de la Senne and La Source and Fermenthings like earlier in the day. Just because of the area that it is. It's probably like I wouldn't want to go there later in the day because of how far out of the way it is and how secluded it is. So I'd probably go to those earlier in the day. But yeah, I think if we talk about any top tips you have, just to recap, I think I would say, like, on the Eurostar, take snacks and do a bottle share. You've got 2 hours to kill. That is what Joe and I were going to do. I feel like we probably could have got away with the same way that we could have got charcuterie for the Tour de Guerre.
That would have been smart,
we probably should have done a charcuterie situation for the Eurostar.
Yeah, I mean,
that would have been really good.
They serve meals, but
they
meals
but it's
small.
Not
It wasn't great.
And we got sucked into getting. Oh, we're a sucker for Japanese food, so we found a Japanese food place. Wasn't great.
You're talking about King's Cross.
Yeah, didn't rate it. In the end, because it seemed so like it was going to be legit. It was going to be so good.
It looked like it was authentic Japanese. I mean, it was
fine.
It's one of the better Japanese places in the UK because we're not going to get down that rabbit hole. But yeah, Japanese food in the UK just sucks.
I disagree, and I thought it was a bit shit. But what I would say,
compared to if you compare it to somewhere like Yo Sushi or Wagamama, it was.
I think I'd rather those. I think I'd have a better quality meal at one of those.
Okay, I think they're all dire, to be honest.
So, but yeah, I think like if you bring snacks on the train, that's definitely worth it. I feel like this is a common sense thing, but like pick a central location hotel, even if it is a place that's maybe more touristy. as long as you can do with slightly louder noises. I think for me, picking that hotel was a top tip of like changing the hotel up so it was more centrally located and a shorter walk to the main train station that we needed. And that's because when you're encumbered with all the bags and stuff, I'd rather be walking without bags.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can walk quicker without them.
Yeah.
Whereas to and from at the start of your trip and end of the trip, really, it's probably easier to be located by the train.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, like I said, that feels like that's common sense, but I think when it comes to having filled heavy bags, you want to be closer as opposed to further away. And obviously making sure you have appropriate, if, like I said in the last episode, when you're doing takeaway bottles and you know you're doing takeaway bottles, definitely have the appropriate wrappage for it, whether that's bubble wrap or clothes or, you know, whatever you need. It's important to think about that. I would also argue another top tip is like for things like Cantillon, like when you want to go on tours of places, look at the times you want to go on and look at what's nearby to that, because you want to cover areas, like pockets of areas together.
Yeah, right.
And you want to make sure, like, so what we learned with like L'Hermitage and Cantillon is if we had planned further in advance, I probably could have gotten the Cantillon tour closer. Like I could have done that second tour later in the day.
Yeah.
Which would have saved us an extra train journey.
Yeah, going back and forth
around
a bit,
the houses.
Because you burn time,
Yeah, you burn time that you don't necessarily need to burn. Yeah. I mean, we did it because that was there, and it wasn't a massive inconvenience.
No, it wasn't. No,
it would have been more helpful.
It could have been more efficient.
But equally, like knowing where you're going, like sometimes it is just like do Google Street View to see where you're going, because that would have helped us on the hotel, for example, of like the original hotel. Am I going up cobblestones? When it came to places like Brasserie de la Senne, like, am I going out literally to the, like, it's more so if you're going solo traveling or you have less sort of confidence in where you're going and, you know, safety concerns, like, am I going someplace that's in the middle of nowhere? So look up where you're going in advance and, like, have a plan for that so that you plan accordingly, so you're not going when it's dark out to a quite secluded industrial estate. Take a backpack, as I mentioned already, like, or at least know how you're going to be if you plan on doing takeaways,
transporting all those takeaways, because taking them in brown paper bags, those heavy bottles. We
were like carrying them like babies.
Well, that was it, because the bag started to fail us, and then when it rained as well.
When it rained, I was like,
"Oh, wet." Yeah,
my babies know.
That was not fun. Yeah, there was a risk.
Yeah, that wasn't great. I think there was also an element of like, as I mentioned earlier, if you don't know serving sizes, maybe start more conservatively.
Yeah, that's probably.
It's hard for me to envision what 250ml looked like, and then when I got 3 of them and a bottle, I was like, well, shit.
I mean, I think less.
I should have started with less and ordered more.
You can always order more.
Yeah, you can. You
can't order less, but you can always order more.
You can definitely always order more, but not less once you've ordered them. So that's a big one. Unless they mispoured me.
No.
But
no, it's just you.
Because I feel like I went to other places and like 250ml was not the same. But
no.
I don't know, maybe it was the glass sizes. But yeah, I think as a solo traveler as well, like it is good to be, again, just stating the obvious, be mindful of your surroundings. I think we were okay. Like Brussels, for example, wasn't really a problem.
No.
I mean, I've heard other people have problems there. We didn't.
I mean, end of the day, it's a capital
city.
city, so of course there's going to have crime there, and you just got to be sensible.
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I didn't. Would I have wanted to travel alone? Probably not. But like, I also didn't find it particularly bad comparatively to anywhere else. Any other major city. I would say, the tip on freezing things. You can always freeze really good food that you want to take home with you.
As I said before, if I knew that was the plan, I would have bought 3 times the amount of cookies. But...
And I think the last top tip for me was just like be mindful of opening hours, because I know that there was a few, and do try to plan in advance when you know you're going to be going, because I think there was a few places that, like chocolate places, that we would have gone to, but they were closed on the Monday.
Yeah, lot of places were closed on Monday,
Shockingly.
Which was strange in the middle of capital cities such as Brussels. It's just the amount of bakeries that were closed on a Monday was just crazy.
It was surprising. What I will say though about Brussels is like their supermarkets, like they've had some really good beer and chocolate selections and snack selections just like in the supermarkets. So like the amount of like beers that you probably couldn't even get over here that you just go into a supermarket and you get, and you'd be happy to get, like, top tier. So I reckon as well, like even just hit up supermarkets for certain beers if you're looking for them. Like you might not get, Cantillon or anything like that, but you are going to get some decent selections in a supermarket alone. So you can get some good chocolates and beers within the supermarket itself. So I think any other top tips you got? No, that's all I got. I'm sure people are probably more than done listening to us at this point. Yeah. So, that was the most exhaustive and exhausting list of Brussels, whether that is last episode, which is the tour de gueuze, or this episode, which is just all the other things.
The other bits.
What was the taco restaurant we went to? Do you have the name of it?
I do somewhere, yeah. I mean, is it really worth mentioning it? It was fine. I mean, it was a 4.6. I would give it a 4.
Harsh. It was a good taco place, but fine.
I reviewed them a 4.
You're a very harsh rater.
I am. I mean, nothing's a 5. Let's be honest.
You're the British 5. You're like nothing's really a 5.
Okay, well, actually, I do rate quite a lot of places 5. Stella got a 5. Buck Boys got a 5.
Stella got a 5, and Stella wasn't even there.
I know, but Stella the place got a 5.
Wow. Anyways, let's wrap it up. If you want to come follow me, you can find me. If you want to talk to me about all the amazing beer and food places, or any top tips for my favourite spots, or anything that I think is worth missing out on or not missing out on, you can find me at adventures_in_hoptimism on Instagram, or you can email me at adventuresinhoptimism@gmail.com. Rik, if people want to follow your food blog that you...
It's not a food blog.
Your blog.
It's just me. Just me on Instagram.
Last time you were so keen on promoting your blog.
I didn't say it was a blog. I was just saying about how I did make an Instagram post of Brussels, but yes, it didn't include any beer. It was just food and coffee. If
people want to check out your food and coffee post, where can they find you?
Rik Knoss on Instagram.
Just on Instagram, because you're
just on Instagram.
Nowhere else.
Don't do any other things.
If you want to find me and Joe, and talk to us about other styles of, lambic beer styles, or any other particular breweries that you want us to talk about, you can find us both at A Woman's Brew on Instagram, Facebook. I mean, there's also X, but we're not going to probably talk to you on there, so you're better suited talking to us on Instagram, or emailing us at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. If you've got any breweries that you want us to talk about, any Belgian breweries you want us to highlight, or maybe you are a Belgian brewery and you somehow found this and you want us to talk about your brewery, you want to come on and talk to us yourself, email us there. If you want to check out everything that Joe's doing, share commiserations that she didn't get a chance to go on the tour de gueuze, and that Rik got to eat the tasty food instead of her, and that's very rude. You can find her and message her at Love Beer Learning. She's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Pinterest, X. She's probably not going to talk to you on X, I'm not going to lie. You can email her at lovebeerlearning@gmail.com, or you can find her website, lovebeerlearning.com. So go check her out. I hope I got all that right, Joe. Really apologies if I didn't. But we are done. We're going to go retire for the weekend. We are exhausted. So speak to you all later.
Cheers.